Hello and welcome to Atypical Life. Today's video is going to be on my recent labor experience and postpartum. Also at the end, I will do a meet the baby portion and we will discuss how he is currently. If you are new here, I am Layla. I am the mother of 4 children. One is 12, one is 7, one is 5, and the other one is 8 weeks old. We had our beautiful baby boy on December 4th, 2019. He was 3 weeks early, and his name is Benjamin Levi. He was born at 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and 19 inches long via C-section. Let's get into what happened. That morning of the 4th, I had been having dreams all night of actually going into labor. And so when I woke up at 6 a.m., bright and early to get the day going, I went to do my morning stuff in the bathroom. And sorry to TMI, but I was bleeding. So I went out, and my husband had been letting me sleep in, being that I was 9 months pregnant and exhausted. He let me sleep in, and I came out to where he was at with the kids in the living room, and I said, well, this is what I was dreaming about, having the baby and bleeding and all that stuff. And then I went to the bathroom just now, and I am bleeding, and so I am pretty sure we're having a baby today. And he goes, I kind of had that feeling too. And I said, okay. So we called my mom, who lived just down the street. So she came over, and we went to the labor and delivery room. By the time we made to labor and delivery, it was 7 o'clock. So I had only been up maybe an hour. I was there, got home by 9 a.m. because they sent me home because all the things were normal, natural. I wasn't in labor, so they said, if you're going to go in labor, then you'll do it later today and just come back if you need to. Okay, so I went home. It happened to fall on a Wednesday, which means I have things to do, just as everybody else. My husband had his work, and so he was going to work half day and go in around lunchtime. Got home, told my mom, I said, Mom, I really think this baby's coming today. And she said, okay, well, I'm gonna go home and take a shower. I'll go home and do all that. And I said, okay, well, let me go use the restroom because I've been holding it. I'll be back. And I walked down the hallway, and my water broke. And so I turned around. I said, well, definitely having a baby today. My water just broke. And my mom's like, okay, I better hurry up and go take that shower. Because my labors in the past have been 5 hours, just under 2 hours, and 2 hours. Haley, I was induced at the hospital, so as soon as anything started, we started the timer. Nikayla, I woke up, looked over and said, I don't think you're going to work today. And he said, why not? And I said, I just don't think so. And I got out of bed, water broke, had her within 2 hours. And 23 minutes of making it to the hospital. And then Riker was the end of the day, and everybody was getting off work, and I said, let's meet at the hospital. And 40 minutes after I walked into the hospital with him, I had him. So I moved fast, and I told my mom, okay, I will call you as soon as a contraction starts, because as soon as that starts, we have a very small window to make it to the hospital. And I need everybody here, that's going to take care of the kids and all that stuff. We decided to take Nikayla to her first appointment. As soon as contractions started, we'll just go to the hospital. So got to the place that we meet for our meeting. And I walked around, and I called everybody to let them know what's happening, because everybody's at work. And told them pretty much I'll just wait until the end of this appointment, which is an hour long, and then I'll go ahead to the hospital. After Nikayla's appointment, my contractions, I had maybe 1 or 2. Called everybody, told them I'd call them as soon as I felt anything, but we were going to go to the hospital right then. Got to the hospital, got checked in. My in-laws came and took the kids, and then we waited. And we waited for a long time. 5 hours after my water had broke, I told the nurse something is not right. Something's off. And she goes, no, labors can be 12 hours. She said that she gets a lot of the time, moms come in that have had 2-hour labors and then they have a 12-hour labor instead. And they are a little antsy about it because, well, the last one was 2 hours. And I told her, well, first of all, I've had 3 kids, 2 of which have been under 2 hours. And there's a process. No, one labor is exactly the same as the one before, but there is like a rhythm to it. At least there was for me. And we weren't following that rhythm at all. Told her that it's off. Well, she talked to my doctor, and my doctor said that they needed to find out and make sure that the baby was head down and, in the position he should be in. And then they could start Pitocin. And I asked because, well, if we're going to start Pitocin, and it doesn't work like this on everybody, but at least in my experience so far, I've only had to do it once. Pitocin makes the labor worse. Contractions are already really bad for me, but they come back to back to back, like really fast, and it actually made my labor a little bit longer the first time. So I did get an epidural the first time, and it pretty much relaxed me instantly, and I had the baby 30 minutes later. So I told her, if we do Pitocin, I want to have an epidural right away. And she said I had to wait 30 minutes after they started Pitocin to get an epidural. And I said, okay, then let's do that. And so she went, got the ultrasound machine, which happened to be a brand new machine. So since there weren't very many patients in the labor and delivery, I had 7 nurses wanting to check out the brand new ultrasound machine. And I said, have at it. Let's get the ball rolling. So they all checked. At the time, he was on my right side, and his head was up near my hip, and his feet were near his face, is what we saw. So they said, okay, so we can start Pitocin. And they played with the machine a little bit longer. And then they left. So since 7 people saw that he was in the right position, we were ready to go. At this point in time, I was 1.5 to 2 centimeters dilated, and that's it. I had been that way since the night before, the day before, and I wasn't going anywhere. That's fine. You could be dilated for weeks, or you can be not dilated and dilate within an hour. It's fine, So they started Pitocin. Contractions started picking up, and as soon as they did, I said, I need my epidural. We called the whole family. Everybody came down. Usually in my labors, I have my husband, my mom, his mom, and our sisters, or even like female cousins. I don't usually have any of them. I don't have any of the men in the room with me. But any of my sisters or, female cousins, they're all allowed to come. That's fine. So everybody that could be there was there. And we're laughing and playing because I go into labor fast, so they're over there laughing and joking. And then they come in to do the epidural, which hurts really bad, but not as bad as the contractions. So they got the epidural in, and I laid down, and I asked the nurse, how long does this usually take to kick in? The last epidural I had was 12 years ago. What I remember of that is as soon as she was done putting the tape on and laying me down, before I even finished laying down, I stopped feeling the contractions. When I started, I'd feel a little pressure, but that's it. And then I laid down and I didn't feel anything. So this time around, I was wondering because I felt everything. And I said to the nurse, how long does this usually take to kick in? And it's been a long time. And she said, I'll give it about 15 minutes. And mind you, it was going so quickly. One contraction after another. There was no rest. They were intense. They hurt real bad. The 15 minutes went by. I was still feeling them, and I was feeling the baby. I had been telling her since I was sitting up that I feel the baby. Like, it's time to push. It's very close to time to push. And she was like, no, you were just 2 centimeters not that long ago. And I said, no, I feel like. So I laid down, and then I told them I'm feeling like I need to push. I feel the baby coming out already. So, but it was different. Something was off. So they checked me, and they found his knee. His knee was out. So they quickly grabbed everything. All the wires started flying on top of me. Another nurse got into my face as close as she could, and she said, do whatever you can to keep him inside. If he comes out, he will get stuck and he will strangle. And I was terrified because I couldn't stop the contractions pushing him down. And so I started praying really, really hard. Usually when I'm feeling these feelings, my body going through this, you push the baby out. You just get it out, and everything goes away. All the pain goes away instantly, all that intense pain. But it wasn't going away. And so I was breathing the best I can. I was praying as hard as I can. I don't know if I was praying out loud or if I was praying internal. That's the only way that I can make it through this, because I can't stop my body from contracting. The epidural wasn't working, so I feel everything, and the intense urge to push was there, and I had to fight that so bad. We made it to the OR, and it really doesn't take that long to get there. They're pretty quick. It felt like forever. And through each contraction, I would pray, God, give me your strength, and please let him stay in. Please let me get through this contraction and let him stay in. And then I'd get a couple second window, and then it would start again, and I would start praying all over again. Got to the OR, and they said, you need to move over to the next bed. They couldn't help me. I had to move over to the next bed. I had to lift myself up and do it. And I was in so much pain and praying. I was so scared. And so I just remember grabbing onto, I think it was the IV pole or something. There was a pole. And pulling myself as hard as I could and praying, please let me get through this next contraction. Please let me get through this next contraction. And while I'm praying this, praying for the Lord's strength to fill me, and praying for the safety of the baby, I hear a nurse say, I think you're going to have to knock her out. Like, I think she's going to have to be fully under because the epidural's not working. And I stopped her in the middle of discussing this and said, if you have to do it, and do it quickly, because he is not going to stay in. My body is pushing him out. And they said, if you're okay with that. And I said, I am more than okay with that. So they put the mask on my face, and I was breathing deep, and they told me to stop breathing so fast and deep, and I said, I'm just trying to get this medicine in my body as fast as possible. They didn't want me to hyperventilate, which I really could have at that point, but they knocked me out really fast. And the first time I'd ever been sedated was last January when I had my miscarriage, and I remember them hearing my voice, hearing Layla, wake up, and thinking, I don't want to. And so this time, however, I was like, I heard my name, and I was like, what? I'm sleeping. Thinking I'm sleeping, and then remembering I was having a baby. And I woke up quick. I woke up way faster than I thought was possible. I couldn't sit up, of course, so I woke up, my eyes popped open. They're wheeling me out, and my husband is standing there holding, all you can see is a blanket. And I just looked up at him and I said, is he okay? Is he all right? I'm trying not to cry. And he just kept telling me he's fine, he's okay. I've never been so terrified in my life. Jordan has a wonderful picture of me seeing the baby for the first time. And everybody was worried about him showing me because it's not a very flattering picture. I'm sobbing, and I've never sobbed that hard in my life. But I was so grateful. And all I can do is thank you, Jesus, the whole time. And hug him, and I couldn't hold him tight. I was shaking because that's what anesthesia does to me. So I was shaking, and I was trying to hold on to him and hang on to him as tight as I could and kiss him. After that, they wheel you to recovery, and I wasn't sitting up or anything. I was laying down flat because all the medicine is still working on top of the fact that I had to have a C-section. So, I remember my throat hurt so bad because of the fact that they had to sedate me. They had to put a tube in my throat, and so my throat was on fire, and Jordan was feeding me ice chips, as I held the baby, and I had to stay there for an hour while my whole family waited in the waiting room. Not too far from me, but they still had to wait for a very long time. They did get to see Jordan and the baby. So yes, they wheeled me out, and I was just kind of in a fog at that point. I had my baby. I was still kind of drowsy and groggy from the sedation, and they wheeled me into the room. Everybody, my family was there. They were all trying not to cry because they were all kind of scared at that point. But everything is great. So that is how my son was brought into this world. Now, postpartum has been rough. After each one of my previous deliveries, I was up and moving within an hour. I love to take a shower after you have a baby. There's something about cleaning off all the yuck and going out and embracing the baby and just healing. So I couldn't do that this time. I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't move. They told me I had to stay in the bed for 12 hours, but I didn't want to move. It was really hard to get the pain management done, like under control. I was on 2 different kinds of pain medicine, one that's a 6-hour, one that's a 4-hour, and I was still in pain because they couldn't get that in the right rhythm for me, and it wasn't ever under control. Pretty much until the next morning, I didn't get out of bed. Start getting you to move. They had a machine on my legs, massaging my legs, for so I don't get blood clots from surgery. So they took those off after 12 hours. I was sweating so bad. It was so hot, and they told me it was because of the medicine. And my throat was on fire. But after 12 hours, that kind of went away, and I started feeling a little bit better, but not. I could sit up. That's about it. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. The 3rd day, I was walking. I had been trying to force myself to walk. Learned that if I walked, I didn't hurt so bad. If I stayed in bed, the longer I waited to walk, the longer, I would fall asleep, and I'd get in a really good sleep, and I'd wake up, and I'd be like, okay, I go to the bathroom, I gotta get up. And so I'd get up and be in so much pain. So I learned walking really helps recovery of a C-section, and I learned it quickly, but it still didn't, I was still in a lot of pain. On the 3rd day that I was leaving, I developed a rash, and it's called PUPS, and I don't know the whole acronym for that, but it's usually women in their 3rd trimester get it. It attacks their stretch marks. It itches really bad. Originally, they thought it was because they usually put a belly band, a waist thing around your stomach after you have a C-section. It helps the healing, and they thought it was I was having an allergic reaction to that. It started out as feeling like sand on my belly, and it wasn't. It was my skin. And then it started itching, and it got worse. and my normal stretch marks are usually white even after having a baby. They're more noticeable because of the fact that my skin was so stretched out and then all of a sudden deflated, and then it takes a little while for my skin to kind of like bounce back, and then they just don't, you can't see them very well. They're there, but anyways, they were bright red, fat, and itched so bad. My throat started hurting really bad, and it swelled up all in here, and it was hurting, and then my migraine started. I always have a migraine after I have a baby. I know it's because of the hormone drop. So I had a bad migraine. I had a sore throat. It hurt to walk. It hurt to cough. It hurt to sneeze. It hurt to move. Couldn't lay on any of my sides. One of the things I enjoy so much after having a baby is laying on my stomach for the first time, and I still really haven't fully done that yet. I was nervous about the C-section. How do you take care of an incision? I've never had to do that before. It was definitely a first. And where it is located, they were really like, "Ooh, the doctor did such a great, she did a beautiful job. Don't get me wrong, she did a great job." But I'm overweight, and I've had 4 kids, so I will never see my bikini line again. But she did it on the bikini line, which is covered. So I had expressed to my doctor that I was nervous about that because folds of skin get sweat and stuff in it. So she told me not to worry about it and leave the gauze on it for a little while. So that's what I did. She said to wash it every day. I washed it a couple times a day because of where it was located at. I want to make sure that it gets cleaned properly. And actually, I washed it like 3 times a day most of the time just to make sure that nothing built up in there. So before my 2-week appointment, because after 2 weeks they want to check you, make sure everything's going right with the incision. The night before my 2-week appointment, I was climbing into my bed, which is really high off the ground, and so I had to climb into my bed, and I felt like a burning sensation in that area, and I thought, oh no, that is probably not good. But I had to feed a baby. So I got up and I tried to get comfortable and tell myself it's okay, and breathe, and so I fed the baby, went to sleep, got up the next morning, went into the bathroom to clean myself as usual, and there was fluid pouring out of my incision. At that point, Jordan was helping me with that, so he was the one that was looking at it, not me. I wasn't quite ready, but there was liquid pouring out of it. It's clear, but it was a lot of it. So I had my appointment that morning. We just decided to go in, or I actually called and she just said, come in. So we came in and she pushed around. She had to open it further. I did tear it just a little tiny bit, and she had to open it a little bit further. And she told me, basically it's a fluke that was happening. The incision was sealed enough that the liquid that was coming out usually happens. You get a little bit and it just drains out a little bit and then it dries and you don't have to worry about it. But mine stuck behind the incision and it just kept building up back there until I moved enough that it separated a little and came pouring out. And the whole area of the incision was bright red and it was warm, but it wasn't infected yet. So they told me it's not infected and it can get infected at this point. So you have to, again, keep a gauze on it. I had to keep a heating pad on it in order to promote the draining. And so I went home and laid in bed and had a heating pad on my stomach most of the day, and all night. At this point, though, I asked her, talked to her about my migraine because it didn't go away. It was 2 weeks after the baby's born and I still have a migraine. And my throat hurt so bad. And she pretty much told me, you have to go see your primary care. So I did, and they did strep test on it because my throat hurt so much. Next morning after I saw my OB, I got up to clean myself again, and instead of being clear liquid, it was a different color and a different texture, and scared me. And I called her right away and said, this is what's going on, and it is coming out even more than it was yesterday. So they sent me to the ER, and had to have a doctor at the ER check it, and he did, and he said it's fine. It's not, what is coming out is normal-ish. It's not like a bad thing that what was going on. It just doesn't happen very often. And he said it looks beautiful, looks like it's healing perfectly fine, and it's just gonna pour out. What also came out was the dissolvable staples. One of them came out too. While in that time period, I was like, what is this? How did that get there? And then I realized it was a dissolvable staple. So clean that up. Okay, still have the migraine. He checked my strep test and told me that I didn't have strep, but I had a severe headache and a severe throat ache. And so went home, took all the meds they told me to take, and just laid around. Eventually, after 4 weeks, my headache went away. I did have to start putting a heating pad on my neck, my neck and my shoulders, because that helped with the tension part of the headache. And then I had to have a heating pad on my stomach for a while in order to get that to heal and to allow the drainage to happen. So anyways, got to my 6-week checkup, and the only thing at my 6-week checkup that I was worried about was my incision had stopped seeping a little bit. There was still just a little bit left, but it was itching, and it had a rash around it. It developed a rash. The stomach rash went away. The throat pain went away. The migraine was completely gone, actually, at 6 weeks. And so she checked me, and my incision it just wasn't drying out like it should. So the choices are, when something is not healing fast enough or drying out, is they can cauterize it, which is really severe pain according to my doctor, or they offer a laser kind of thing, but it's super expensive, or I can hair dry it several times a day. I opted for the several times a day with the hair dryer because I had that. It was free and it didn't hurt. I went in for an 8-week checkup, and everything is pretty much great at this point. I'm healed. The incision is fine. It's healed. It's dry. It's perfect. My headache is gone. The throat pain is gone. I've lost 30 pounds since the day I went in and had Ben, and we are back to doing everything as normal. This little guy is Benjamin Levi. He is 8 weeks old. He goes in for his 8-week checkup on Monday, which is a couple of days away. At his 4-week checkup, he weighed 8 pounds and ½ ounce. So I'm expecting that he is going to weigh closer to 10 pounds now, because he's growing fast like his big brother did. He's got tons of hair. My other 3 children were very much bald. They had little tiny stubby hair. And, hi, you were doing Mario. Hi. Yeah. Hi. As you can see, he is smiling. And he sticks his tongue out at people. It's his favorite game right now. Huh. What? Oh, sorry, mommy woke him up. He also is starting to do the cooing. It sounds more like yelling right now, but he is attempting to talk. And now he's starting to get hungry, but that is okay. We do exclusively breastfeed. Hopefully today we'll introduce him to the bottle. We've had a couple things come up, and it would be nice if I could deal with those things and have somebody else feed him. So we will introduce the bottle, but he will still just get breast milk. He'll just get a bottle once a day, unless we need more for whatever. Oh, there he is. This is a 0 to 6 months, and he is drowning in it. It's okay. All right. If you are new to our channel and you would like to follow along to this little cutie's journey and his brothers and sisters' journey, please hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we will see you again. Bye.